Well, here we are again. We're facing the second death of G4TV. Hello and welcome. It is I, Iron Raiden, back yet again with a semi-new topic of discussion, at least new developments of an old topic. Because now G4TV is facing layoffs. Now everyone and their mother, of course, has discussed this. That's what they do. But I, of course, have to give my piece on it because, as I've stated in a previous video, that I have quite the personal history of G4. I know a shit ton of G4 of old. I watched a lot of their old stuff back when he had Electric Playground, when he had just the show G4TV.com, the old AOTS. You know, you had members, Karen Pereira, Adam Sessler, Morgan Webb, even other ones like Laura Foy from earlier on, Tommy Tallarico, Victor Lucas, people like that. I mean, it was all good times. Once you have found G4 TV, that was like a gold mine for someone like me who didn't have like a big, wasn't really on the computer a lot. That was my outlet for a lot of this stuff. And once I found it, it was just like, I struck gold. This is awesome to watch. And eventually, of course, it started to dwindle down to just reruns of cops and cheaters and all this other stuff. And just, it eventually, of course, found its end, unfortunately, but it was all good times while it lasted. And we arrived to now where a little while back they announced the G4 relaunch. I'm like, okay, that's interesting, very interesting. Now, I didn't have the highest of hopes at all because really, gaming journalism as a whole, really journalism in general, is pretty much all but in the crapper. It's just not really, like, no one really seems to know what they're talking about anymore. No one really seems to have the passion. They just hire people, who just have these certain ways about them, who just may not even know or give a crap about games anymore. And G4 of old, they had people who do their shit, but at the same time they had a sense of humor. I mean, they had various skits, they had specials, all this other stuff. It had a certain charm to it. And when you get to now, and you realize that I was just hoping that they'd keep the train on the tracks. Can you at least focus on the topic at hand? Can you keep it on the video games? Even if your relaunch is as mediocre as can be, even though you have all these personalities, it may just seem that like they're trying too hard. Whatever. Just keep it going. Just keep it focused, whatever. And I imagine it probably still would have had a shelf life regardless. Maybe they would have had mediocre numbers, just enough to keep them afloat for, a few years, whatever. I didn't have the highest of expectations. But my God, I did not expect them to crash and burn that quickly. Even with the general landscape of things, within months, Frosk, of course, just with just a few words, sexism in gaming, and then to be a fly on the wall when that shit just flew out of her mouth, and you're just like, we're going here now, here we go. The end is inevitable, and seeing that train go flying off the tracks into a pit of flames. And we arrived to where we are now, where the network is now facing layoffs because of this woman. Now people will act like, oh, it wasn't the rant that did it, or it wasn't just that. It's like, no, that pretty much sealed the deal. At least gave it a rapid fire death at this point in time. Now it's inevitable for them to just cancel all of this completely. Was it Blair Herter had left and shit, even though he had backed it. They deleted the tweets supporting the rant. They deleted the video from their actual YouTube channel. And sure enough, this woman had to go on Twitter and with the caption, "Let's play some games, yo," with an image of like a lizard, or one of those dragons, and with the sunglasses saying, "I survived." The gall of this woman to sit there and post some shit like that when at this point, no, it's game over. It's game over. It's not games anymore when you deliberately cost people their jobs because you just couldn't keep focused on your actual job. Your opinions may have been shit. That's one thing. But to actually go off on just a giant rant like this to the point where you killed the network for a second time and in record time, you cost these people their jobs. Now that is some straight up bullshit at that point. Now this woman should be ashamed of herself, but it just goes to show that anyone who backed this rant, it was absolutely ridiculous, first off. But to actually back it and you realize just how sick this woman is and realize she actually doesn't care about other people's work, it just goes to show just how toxic someone like her actually is. You want to talk about a lethal injection? Well, there you go. Frosk single-handedly destroyed this network once again, and Adam Sessler himself, of course, did not help things at all with his stupid ass. I mean, he always seemed rather eccentric and a bit weird before, but of course, it wasn't full-fledged like this. I mean, clearly the guy has lost his mind. But yeah, once again, just to have witnessed this happen yet again in such a, you know, in such a fashion, in such an epic fashion like this, it's hilarious and yet tragic at the same time. Again, it's hilarious at the fact that she just had to go off the rails and just in record time completely shattered any hope for these people, and it's tragic in the sense that they've been cost jobs now. Now, if that doesn't tell you who was in the wrong here, I don't know what does. I really don't. And as we pointed out before, as I did in the previous video, the major hypocrisy of her rant, when clearly she did not watch G4 of old. They did not exist to be nice on the eyes for you. And not to say that any woman just exists to be nice on the eyes for anyone. But it's not like G4 didn't play into that shit any chance they got. They used to go to the Adult Entertainment Expo. They used to have co-hosts like Sarah Underwood, which no knock against Sarah Underwood personally, but she was a former Playboy playmate. She used to have a character on that network called Bustus, which, again, you can look that up for yourself. It's not that difficult, and you can just imagine it for yourself anyway. Olivia Munn, she did some of the craziest shit willingly, like the hot dog on the string with the mustard. She'd have a panty pile. She'd have sex talks with Anna David. And this, they played into so much of that type of shit, it's not even funny. And to think that she had to sit there and go on that rant and sit there and acting like it's just about this and that, when, again, clearly you weren't watching closely enough at all whatsoever. And that's what it was. And yet now all of a sudden, history is different. Now it wasn't about that, of course, even though, like I said, they played right into that type of shit. And you arrived and now you killed the brand yet again, and in such insane fashion, and costing people their jobs in the process. You could have just kept the train on the tracks, but you just had to go and run your damn mouth because reasons, I guess. But that's just in the day and age that we are now. I just... Anything and everything you loved of the past is being killed because people like this just, again, clearly did not pay attention to what came before it. And it's not to say that's what it was all about, but they always had a sense of humor about themselves, and they play into certain things, and that was just what they did. And yet all of a sudden it's different, and Adam Sessler is over there, clapping his ass off, acting like, again, weren't you there the whole time? Did you not pay attention to any of these segments that they do in the past? Clearly not, but now all of a sudden, again, it's different now, but whatever. So I'll just go ahead and just top it off right there. The end is nigh for G4. It's only a matter of time before they just officially can the whole damn thing, and it's a shame to see. If they had just kept the train on the tracks and just remained focused, they could have kept this thing afloat for at least a good while. But no, we had to give it a premature death because that's just the way it is now. It's very unfortunate, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. Thank you very much for watching this. If you did, I am Iron Raven, and I am out.